Okay, so welcome everybody. This is, gosh, I don't know how many live chats I've done so far since all this started. I will preface this by saying, these chats really depend on interaction and what you guys want to talk about. So, we may get into some heavy topics at some point, and just throwing that out there because I'm going to address, what's going on in my life, what's going on in everybody else's life on the chat, and we're living through challenging times. So I'm not going to be like down and doom saying the whole time. Hello, Krista. Good evening. But I may mention some things, and that might, if you're trying to escape reality, just keep that in mind that we might cover some topics here and there that are, stress inducing. So anyways, that said, we'll go start. I'm going to wait a few minutes before we get into kind of what I had planned as part of the stream tonight. Hello, Giga. I know Giga, but I can't remember who that belongs to. Good eventide. Oh, wow. How very Game of Thrones. So tonight, one of the things I was going to do is at some point during the stream, I am going to do like a little mini quantum energetic tune-up for people. Depending on how many people we have, I was going to max it out at 3 because I recently did a Facebook Live event. Okay, yeah, I thought so. I wasn't sure if that was you, John. One of your many names. Anyways, I did a Facebook Live event where I did some of these, quantum energetic tune-ups, but I did like almost the whole hour of that, and I did like 7 or 8 of them at once, and I was all lightheaded and dizzy by the time that was done. So I decided that I should cap it at one particular time. So I think, I'll cap it at 3. But currently we only have 4 concurrent viewers. So 5 concurrent viewers. People are just getting on the stream. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Yes, I know. Sapphire, welcome. Welcome to the stream. I think back to like last year when like the big thing that everyone was upset about was Game of Thrones, and how small that seems now. 72 is your favorite number besides 28 and 29. Doesn't 72 have something to do with like the number of divine names in Gematria or some other sacred language? I can't remember. I could look it up, but that would involve me going into the closet bookshelf and fishing out my encyclopedia of, let's see, The Magician's Companion, I believe is what it's called. It's like this encyclopedia of like magical symbolism and different systems, which I was really into for a long time, and now I just have it as like a reference book. But so tonight, is there anything in particular that people were wanting to talk about while we wait to do our first, tune-up? Dimitri, welcome. You were waiting for the live stream. Awesome. Well, welcome. We are continuing the Game of Thrones themes. With Krista, she says she's going to take what's hers with fire and blood. Well, good luck with that. So tonight, the quantum energetic tune-ups that I do, they're kind of like little mini quick sessions, and I came up with them because one of my longtime clients, they would do like the longer transformational energy sessions with me. They get a lot out of them. And then, but they had to budget themselves, and they wanted to make sure that they were keeping some of that momentum in between those, more expensive sessions. And so I created something that was a lot shorter, and just I could get in, get out, boom, 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 do quick adjustments without too much depth. Me sitting there explaining everything. So when I do them, I go through them very, very quickly. And part of that actually is helpful because I don't have time to second guess myself. Whereas if I have, I'm sitting taking my time, I will second guess myself. But if I have to do something very quickly because I'm on a time limit, and when I first created these, they were like 5 minutes. So it usually took longer to set up the appointment than it took to do the appointment. And so I've since lengthened them to 10 minutes, just because trying to do stuff in 5 minutes was just way. It was crunch because we had to get on the call and be like, hey, how are you? Blah, 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 and what do you want to work on? Okay, and then go boom. So I probably won't do 10-minute sessions because that would be kind of boring for a lot of people to watch. I will say this, as we get into the sessions, when I start to pick people, if you don't get picked, if there's something that person is holding, like a pattern or a problem that they're holding that you also share, just by being present and watching the stream, you are also getting worked on because we are not separate from one another. So it might not be as specific and not everything will land for you, but even if you don't get picked tonight, you're still going to have some benefit from watching the stream. So, all right, so if you haven't identified yourself in, let's see. Cool. So someone who watched my last stream was seeing pictures in the wrinkles of my bedspread, which I try to keep the background kind of neat. I still have my mesa up from today's ceremony, so it's still out there on the bed. And it's really weird watching this because I see myself in the little side screen and everything is just on a slight delay. It's on a 10-second delay. So now I'm going to see myself point behind me and show you that. And according to this, we've got excellent stream conditions right now. So anyways, like I said, if you don't get picked, and unless we have a large number of people, it's quite likely that you might get picked if you stay on the call or on the stream. Don't worry about it. If somebody is having the same issues that you are or has something in common with you, you're going to get worked on as well. So this is the first time I've done this live on YouTube. Of course, if you watch my channel, I'm doing some sort of shifting for people all the time. It's, of course, now it's kind of on the spot because I always record those and then post them. And I don't do a whole lot of editing. I just trim up the ends and make sure there's nice transitions and a title screen and an end screen. So, but, I hope everybody's week went well. I took this week a social media break. So I have not scrolled through the news feed on Facebook since Monday, and I feel so much better. I had to get on last night to post things. I found out that this notification wasn't posted, even though it was posted on Instagram. I must have forgotten to hit the share to Facebook when I posted it, and so I had to get on and change that. And I had to get on today and check messages and make sure all the postings were correct at the time because I didn't have that on the initial invite. But I have not scrolled through the newsfeed, and I think that's a good thing. So we've got 6 people on. So for those of you that are on and are wanting to be used as a surrogate for, well, not just a surrogate, who want to be, have a quantum energetic tune-up here, and also be a surrogate for those that are other people that are watching either live or who will be watching the recording of this, go ahead and let me know that you're on board for that, but do it by choosing a number between 1 and 21. And I will pick the one that is closest to the one that I have in mind. So if you're wanting that, go ahead and pick your number between 1 and 21. And that's how I'll choose the first person. Let fate decide. So, all right. Just 18, 11. So let's see. I'm going to give people another minute to choose to see. Okay. Because we've got 5 people. I see 3 numbers so far. Okay. So now we've got everyone who's chosen that. So the number was 17, so the closest was Dimitri. So Dimitri will be our first session when we get going here. Does anybody have something that they wanted me to address or talk about in between those segments when we're doing the tune-ups? And Krista's asked, what is a quantum tune-up? So a quantum tune-up is me working on energy and using quantum entanglement. But it was inspired by some of the seminars that I took that looked at, oh gosh, what it is. Radionics. I had to think of the name for it. And this was a, alternative medicine kind of thing that came out in the early 20th century, where it was based on frequencies, and that the idea that certain disease conditions had a particular frequency, and by adjusting an electromagnetic frequency and then broadcasting that to the cells, or even a symbolic representation of that frequency, that sort of medicine frequency to the cells, that you could, have the body start to heal itself. And it was really interesting because a lot of people, now this was not an approved, and I'm not touting this as an approved medicine. This is just like what the inspiration from this was. But there used to be radionics machines, and they had all these dials, things. It was very cool, very mad scientist kind of thing. And this one particular doctor who was doing this and had great successes with patients, they found out years later that the machine had never been plugged in. So it was really the intent. And he was, turning all the knobs and everything, but the machine was not plugged in, so it was not broadcasting any actual electricity. So I created kind of my own little magical machine, and then, I put it on a little card, which I laminated. And then I just manipulate the energies on here. So that's where that, kind of came out of. So, all right. Again, if you're just joining us for the stream, I'm about to do quantum energetic tune-up. Our first person up is Dimitri. And even if you don't get picked, or, if Dimitri has a particular adjustment that would be beneficial for you, just, have the intent that it can adjust for you in a similar fashion, or something that works well for you. So, all right, before I do that, let me create more sacred space. Kind of open. Normally I do this before, but I was so excited to get started, and if I really want to be, I can get my rattle out and address the above, the below, and the within. All right, so first up, Dimitri, are you ready? Just say yes, and we'll say this is a go. And I know there's a delay on the chat, so I'll try to be somewhat entertaining. I know I'm always taking a drink. I get so dry when I do these live casts. So if you're ready, let me know just by typing yes or ready in the chat, and we'll get started with your mini session, basically. So. Yes. Okay. Awesome. There is quite a delay sometimes on the chat, so you probably typed it. It's like, what is he waiting for? Well, I was waiting to see it appear on my little window over here. So, okay. So I'm going to ask that we're held in the light of compassion, and that this is guided by grace. And already I'm going to address the spectral meter into the blue frequency band here. And I'm going to move earth energy into fire energy. On the yang side. I'm going to turn the intensity down just a little bit. It looked like it was way high. Increase the level of syntropy, that's the organizing principle, and send that at 12x concentration. That's homeopathic concentration there, so 12 times diluted. Send that there. And then I'm turning this over for my tracking diagram. 2, 3, 4. I have my little note cards here, just so I can remember. 7. And I don't have them in order. 4, found it. Aha. So 4, immunities. So allergies are popping up. Okay. So let's track that through. Inhale and just did topical. Feels like it's topical. So we're going to adjust that with. Let's flip that, invert that frequency. And sigilize that. And that's going to be broadcast at 6x, and it's going to go on to the right temporal side. And we're going to pulse that every 3 seconds for about 5 to 10 minutes. All right. Now we're going to go, I'm hitting the metal element, strengthening the metal. Turn that up. Once again, going from the blue spectrum into more indigo, adding some of that energy in, taking down entropy. That's going to go at 6x concentration. Now that one I see hitting right here in the forehead area. And now my attention's being drawn to the torso, solar plexus, particular musculature in there. I want to add a little yin focus energy and a detoxifying frequency. Send that in at 30x concentration. Allow it to flush out. And then I'm out here between the etheric field and emotional field. And it feels a little sharp there, so let's just smooth that. A little heart-centered energy. A little thaumaturgic meter, turn that up. Send that at 12x. All right, take a minute to check in with that and see how that feels. Why I dropped my rattle, so I'm going to pick that up off the floor. So check in, see how that feels. Those are energetic properties to Dimitri. You may also feel some of the effects from this. It won't be quite the same because this was a very specific session, curtailed, and designed for one person. But the fact that we're all connected, we will all get some benefit from that. So check in with the moment, and I'm going to turn the thaumaturgic meter up just a little bit more. And again, I'm pulling energy, out of the earth element again, and this time it's going into the metal element, and that's going to go at 30x. And we'll say that's 5% energy moving going there. So try that. All right. You felt it. So Sapphire says she felt it a little. Yeah, be interesting to see. Yeah, I'm feeling like that's enough for that one. So I'm gonna say that one's done for right now. The difference is if I have someone on my in office, or usually it's more like via teleconference when I'm working with somebody. I'm talking to them back and forth, and so there's feedback. So so let's give Dimitri a minute and let him sink in and see how he feels, and then we'll chat for a little bit, and then we'll go on for see if somebody else wants to do a session. So, all right. So how is everybody this evening? Does anybody have any good news to share? I know we've been inundated with just bad news. And so I'm always looking to see when, something's gone right for somebody. I want to hear about it. Not that I don't want to hear about, your troubles too. I mean, that's part of life. But I don't just want to hear about your troubles. There's certain people that come into our lives, foul weather friends. They're great when you're down, and they're there for you. But, once things start going your way, it's like they can't cheer for you, can't celebrate for you. And then you have fair weather friends who always want to be there for cheer for the happy times, but are never there when you need them. So you want people in your life that can do both, that can be there when you're going through rough times and really just be there. And then also people that can be there to celebrate when things are on the up and up, and when you've triumphed. And we want to be able to share our joy, and because that makes it larger. And then also share our troubles, because that makes the troubles smaller. Even if there's nothing that a person can do but be there. It's really important. So I'll tell you something that you need middle friend. It's middle friend. You need someone who can do both. You need someone who is, who has the full range of emotions. In my long protracted war with the law of attraction, I say that with, a little bit of guff. I know that's really popular in spiritual circles, particularly. That's like, oh, we got to concentrate on the good emotions and do this and that. Like, yes, you need to remember what you're grateful for. Yes, you need to try and have an optimistic attitude. But you also need to feel your feelings. So if things are going really bad and terrible and you're suffering, you need to allow yourself to experience that pain and not deny it, and not beat yourself up for that. We got a response in the chat. Okay, so. Oh, so you did. Okay, so Dimitri, you got it. You felt it in the right side of your head. Well, that's one of the places we were broadcasting to, and in your left leg. Awesome. You're welcome. Yeah, I hope. Let me, if you have something cool come out of that from that little session, let me know, because a lot of times some of the effects will come later. So, oh yeah, John's saying he downloaded my removing shame download. Um, yeah, I will say with that one, I when I did that, when I put that one together, when I created that energy, I was very conscious of making sure that that was to integrate that smoothly into someone's, because the one that I did before that one, the removing religious programming download, I mean, it was effective and it was powerful, but it was not smooth at all. It was rough. I remember within 30 minutes of doing, when I had the live call that I did and recorded, when I did that one, like within 30 minutes, I was feeling nauseous. And then for like 3 days, I was just like, oh, just sick. And someone finally said, hey, you should try some activated charcoal. And I did. And what it was is that, when I was releasing those energies and attachments, all my cells was like, all the cells in my body, which had been holding on to all this gunk that was attached to that energy, just decided, okay, all at once, dump it all. And it all went into the bloodstream. I felt awful. And then, I started taking the activated charcoal, and that soaked some up and helped that, flush out. And I started to feel better after 3 days. But because I did that one, and people had such a visceral response to that particular one, I was really careful when I put the shame download together. So, yeah. Because shame is really hard on the body, and it's a lot to carry, and it's like putting a color filter over your life about your how you look at events, how you look at your past, how you look at your everyday interactions. So that's a huge thing, and the more we can let go of some of our shame, the better. Hello, Miss Pretty. How are you doing? That's actually someone's handle. I'm not just calling someone Miss Pretty. And so, all right, sweet. I'll tell you another, before we get, before we move on to the next person, I'm going to tell you about something that I've had on my mind, and it has come up with conversations with people lately, is the idea of special. And I don't know if I talked about this on the last live stream or not, but I have a real problem with the term, they're special, he's special, she's special. I think it's a bad idea to focus all this energy on, oh, I'm special, or I need to be special. And I like to tell myself, I'm not special. I'm unique. And it's the same thing I'll tell other people. It's like, you're not special, you're unique. Now, you are special to someone. You're somebody's, special. But this idea of special, and, maybe I'll talk with this when I have a guest star on sometime, and we'll go back and forth about this. A lot of times what that leads to is the feeling that we have to be special in order to be loved, to be accepted, or to be worthy of something. Or on the other side of that, and that's like the negative kind of like a not special enough. And then on the other side, too much special, you've got people who think they're so special that the same rules don't apply to them. And I'm sure you can think of several people right off the top of your head right now who have done that. Unique is always valuable, and yes, I have discussed this. Okay, just checking. Yeah, I remembered it when you said unique is always valuable. You gotta love a good villain from Farscape. That was his line. So, all right. So I am going to do my next session. So if you are wanting to do that again, and if you've already done it, you can't do another one. Not tonight. Again, I've chosen a number from 1 to 21. So go ahead, and if you're wanting to do that, type a number in the chat, and I will pick the one that is closest. And of course, we're on a 10-second delay with the chat, so I won't see it until a few seconds after you've typed it. But if you're wanting to do that, if you're wanting to have if you're wanting to experience a quantum energetic tune-up, you can, put your number down there, between 1 and 21, 14, 3, 11. Scary Harpy, that's an awesome handle. I hope it's not too descriptive. All right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm making sure anybody else want to choose a number, because okay. You yes. Oh, I need to turn on my. This is gonna make some noise. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to turn on. I forgot to turn on the laptop cooler before I started. Doesn't do well when I stream unless I have that on. It's starting to heat up, and you're gonna hear the internal fans if I don't turn the external fan on. So the number was 13. So Giga, that's you. That's you, John. You were the closest. So get yourself comfy. We'll get started there. I should let you know, I have like a tracking diagram, and for the most part I have it memorized, but like, let me hold this up. And I really need a new one because I don't use the light bulb thingy anymore, because that was for an old system, but I improved upon their system because they didn't have all the colors here. They just had the star and the little points and the light bulb. And I decided, and each one of them, this was before I started studying Qigong, corresponding to 5 Chinese elements, but I could never remember which point in the triangle was which. So I was like, well, I should color in my diagram. So I drew it on black paper with color pencils, and then I spent time. And by the time I finished coloring this, I didn't need the diagram anymore to remember like fire's here, earth's here, metal's here, water's there, wood's there. I just knew. As if you spend that much creative energy doing something, you do. But then I added the rainbow bands because I was like the chakra. Looks like my streaming bitrate is low, so we're gonna have some hiccups. Alright. I think that's because the laptop heated up. Oh well. Alright, so we're going to start. Next one. This is for John. And again, just because I might not be focusing directly on you does not mean that you will not get any benefit from John's little mini session here, because we're all connected. And if he has an issue that if you share an issue, which many of us do, you will maybe get some crossover effect from this. So, John, relax, get ready. Again, ask that we all be held in the light of compassion. And immediately, I want to turn that thaumaturgic meter all the way up. And I see kind of something off of the head over here. It looks very pointy coming in. So I am going to up the entropy level on that. Dial up the intensity. And I want to add yang energy too, and send it at 30x concentration on that particular construct. And de-resonate it with your energy field. That's going to keep broadcasting for about 30 minutes actually. So next thing, I'm on to activate the fire element. Increase syntropy on that. More organizing principle, more stable, stabilizing energy. Send that at 30x concentration. That's only going to run for about 5 minutes. And then I want to put the spectral band of frequencies in green. Dial it up to about quarter intensity. Huh. Well, yin-yang, I have a yin and yang energy, and it usually goes up, down, or center. This one's actually, I'm flicking it to the right. I don't know what that means, but that's pretty cool. We'll send in some heart energy, 100x concentration, and send that, pulsing that. And I'm seeing that pulsing down, starting here at the forehead and coming down to kind of a V taper down, ending at the navel. So we'll send that there. And I'm seeing shooting star energy wants to come in on both sides of the body and move past, a little radiant. We'll say that's at 6x or 12. 6x, we'll do that. And short 3-second burst for 1 minute. See, you can really go through a lot of things really quickly with this, particularly if you don't stop to think about it. We've done wood fire. Oh, please. I just had that flashcard. I really need to memorize this thing. I mean, I had them and then I changed them again. I made them more I put even more information in them. At my office, I actually have charts, so I can just go look up, you know. So what I'm seeing is inflammation response. Okay. Let's dial that. So currently it's in the red band of frequencies. I want to invert that. So turn that dial back. And I'm seeing a lot of, we're going to send some pink heart energy. And in a globe form, 30x concentration. I'm really seeing that interpenetrating the cells as well. So beaming, surrounding you, but also beaming in. And really focusing in on the spine. Particularly, I'm seeing the lower lumbar. And I'm just going to put a little loop-de-loop pattern in their sigil and send that at 6x. Okay. Yeah, I don't feel like I need to do any more there. So let's give you a minute to settle in, to check in. And, you know, did anybody else get a buzz off of that? Let me know in the chat if you did. And again, if you're watching this as a recording, same thing. You know, you may share some energy patterns with the people I'm working on tonight. And in that case, your portion that is similar will also be affected. Only if it's in a positive direction, though. So I have rules. And only if you let it. So, Sapphire, so you felt that again. You're just like, you're like keyed into everybody tonight. Or, you know, the people who need to be on the chat are on the chat. So, Giga, let me know when you're coherent again. Oh, okay, yeah, great. You felt the pink energy in the lower back. Yeah, that came in pretty clear. What I love about this particular method is that when you go fast like that, you do not have time to question it, and a lot of times you can get really detailed information because your inner critic just does not move that fast. I recently, I had a dream in which my inner critic manifested. He took the form of an old professor of mine. He was looking and coming to me and kind of snidely saying, "So tell me about this new work that you're doing." But I could tell that he wanted me to tell him so he could tell me how stupid it was. And I remember waking up from that dream going, ugh, is he still in my head after all these years? So that's, I renamed my inner critic. And my thing about my inner critic is, and this goes for your inner critic as well, all of you watching, they talk, a lot of, oh, I don't want to cuss in case I do want to monetize this video. They talk a lot of crap for someone who's never created or done anything or accomplished anything. I mean, really, what have they done except pick on you? My video stream is circling. Do you mean like the little scrolly thingy-majigger? Or that I'm just talking in circles? Because, I do that. I know, for whatever reason, the stream tonight is not as reliable as it has been in the past. I don't know if there's just more people on, or I do need a better internet speed, that's for sure. Alright. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about before I choose my last person for the night? Oh, you had to log out and back. Okay, so someone had to log out and back in. That might have just been on your end. It's possible. For one of my classes that I stream each week, I have one person who's forever putting in the comment thread, like, the video froze, it stopped, the stream stopped, but it's always them each week. So I figured, because nobody else tells me that. Wonderful, yeah, and well, I'm glad, let me know. Well, I'll talk to you actually soon, Kika, actually tomorrow. So, yeah, I'll get feedback. It's always nice to get feedback, and, I'll try and do, I won't always do something like this. I'll, do little samples here and there because, people have seen my YouTube channel, so they've had an experience a lot of times from my shifting videos, but it's a little different when it's focused directly on you. And so some people who might, not, I don't know if I want to work with them, and, this is a great chance to see if we have, good rapport. Well, Krista says she's got better internet. She does have better internet speed than I do where I live, but you never know. It could just be your connection today. These things do vary. So, all right. Anybody else have any topics they want me to cover before I start, zeroing in on the next person? I have to pick a number. Oh, I picked one. Yeah. So I've already picked the number, and there's a reason I'm picking between 1 and 21. There's a particular school of energy kind of play that uses 21 frequencies for healing, and so I'm just randomly picking for one of those. Courtney Edwards, you just joined. What are we talking about tonight? So tonight I have been doing sort of little mini sessions. Sorry. Okay, so she made me laugh. That's good. 247 is a long-running joke between Krista and myself from an episode of The X-Files from way back when with Luke Wilson. It's one of the funnier episodes. I think where that show really shined was when they did funny episodes. They were really good at that. those still hold up over time. The more serious, like dark ones, they kind of look kind of cheesy now. But that's because we're more sophisticated viewers. Sorry, I got sidetracked by laughter. What we were doing tonight is we're just talking about wherever the conversation takes us, but I'm also doing sort of sample mini sessions for people. So I've done 2, and I said I would do 3 tonight. So to get on that bandwagon, you basically have to put a number between 1 and 21 in the chat, and if it matches the one that I'm thinking of, or the one that's closest to that, and it will not be 247 because that's not between 1 and 21, right? By the way, it can be 1 and 21 as well, so it's it's the whole range. But if you want to get in on that, you put a number in the chat in the comment section. So I've only got 1 slot left. Now, if I'm not working on you specifically, again, if there's something that the person I'm working on has that you also have, and you can benefit from that, you will receive that as part of it. So, anyways. 5. Okay, so we got 1 person who's willing to play. 9. Wait a minute, you already chose 247, which is not a valid number. 11. 11. Uh-oh, we've got 2 11s. Okay. So since we have 2 11s, does one of you want to change that number? So far no one has actually picked the actual number like on the nose. Ha! Except now, actually the number was 8. So Scary Harpy, you are the winner. I knew by saying that out loud that someone would actually put the number down that I'd actually chosen. 8, which also happens to be the number of concurrent viewers. Yeah, I know it was to make me laugh, and it did. You hijacked my stream with laughter. That's not a bad thing. So, let's take a deep breath. All right, if you're ready, type yes or ready in the chat, and we'll get started with this last one. Because 3 in an hour is pretty good, Too much stimulation, this third eye just gets all too intense. I remember I had a client once, and they went over their time. Now, this was in person, so they paid for that extra time. It's harder to do that when you pre-register on a website, but they went for a 2-hour reading, and they were like doing like snapshots of every possible outcome. And okay, I'll get to you in just a second. Let me finish the story. Sorry, I started. But after 2 hours, they left, and I had to go walk us. I had a headache from using this. Just so it was like I was on fire. Anyways, okay. So once again, relax. And I'm going to ask that we're all held in the light of compassion. I'm already getting my tracking diagram. 1, 2, 3. And I really should have put these in order so I don't have to flip through them. It's not that one. Nope. 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 It's going to be the very last one I turn over, isn't it? 3. No, there it is. Ooh, working on the nervous system. 1, 2, 3, peripheral. perception errors, signal processing. So let's go in that. And the number 34 is popping up in this. And I'm going to center that in heart energy. Put the spectral band into the edge between blue and indigo. And activate the thaumaturgic meter. It's actually a little too active. I'm going to turn it down to about halfway. Send that at 30x. And I see that entering here and then vamping down the spinal cord and then out through the peripheral nerves in the legs. And for some reason, there's something that's rigid in your field. So I'm actually going to increase entropy, which means that shakes static patterns up, sort of degrades them or de-resonates them. All right, I'm back. I do not know how much of that was repeated. I'm so sorry, guys. Wow, so apparently that was an interesting session because it shut my whole system down. I had to turn my computer off and turn it back on. So, Scary Harpy, wow. If you're still on the chat, let me know. I did try. Yes, I'm back. Violet Light 100, I am back on the stream. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get back on, but since I never clicked end stream, it did. I was like, I was having a little fit while I was trying to, I tried to reload Google Chrome, and then I tried to restart, and it didn't do that, and then I got the little spinny thingy, and I had to completely do a cold boot, and then turn everything back on, and then load everything back up, my streaming software and all. So, for those of you who were patient, I lost track of where I was. I did the last thing I did was to send wood elemental energy into my last person's abdomen, and then that's when the stream just seemed to collapse. Hello from Scotland, welcome. So I don't know if there's going to be like a big 10-minute problem in the middle of this stream. I'll have to put that in the video description. And then I was like, wow. But I think we did lose the person I was doing YouTube's screwing up on me tonight. Let's see, open widget. So you guys are going to have some buffering on this for whatever reason. I don't know. I haven't run a speed test. I really need to get better internet. ISP. Speed test. So, yeah. Oh, wow. That's really slow. For whatever reason. Oh, wow. Sorry guys for the buffering. It looks like my internet speed is varying tonight for some reason. Like, it's varying quite wildly. So, this occasionally does happen sometimes. What can you do? So for those of you, how many of you, let's see, Lilac Princess and Violet Light, were you on the stream before it went kaput? Or did you just join now in the last few minutes? So currently it says um, that my stream health is excellent connection. So hopefully the buffering will stop soon. One of the things that used to happen a lot when I used to do study with a lot of other people that were doing sort of the similar work that I was, and we would get on Skype together, is we would blow out the connection when we started to work with energy. It seemed like it was, and some platforms seem to be more vulnerable than others. So you were on a few minutes before it went, and you waited. The girl who waited. No, actually, why do I assume girl? I just said Violet Light 100, and I don't know. I was thinking Violet as because Violet, you're turning Violet. Violet, I always thought of that as, because... Anyways, but thank you for waiting. I'm sorry that this kind of collapsed on the last one, that little mini session that I was offering. Yeah, you waited too? Oh, so you were on before. Awesome. Yeah, this is not what I was hoping. I've had the last couple times I've done this stream, it's been pretty steady. It's been, a pretty good connection. And I think, Sapphire, you're still there. Awesome. That, maybe the energy play might somewhat affect that, or, my internet is sometimes good, sometimes bad. Like I said, it varies. As I was getting a less than a megabit of upload speed, which is, you need like 2.5 for it to even keep stable. So that's the reason why we were having so many issues at that particular point. So I don't know if Scary Harpy is still on. I'm sorry that happened. If you are, I'm sorry that happened in the middle of your little mini session. But those of you who were present for that, if you all had anything that resonated with you during that particular session, feel free to comment on it. So, there's all these different messages from, 1032, no data, stream is healthy, error, 1034. It might, that someone just said they were wondering if the energy could be affecting things, and it's possible. Like I said, I used to have that issue with Skype, just the feedback on it when we would start to, a bunch of us would start to do it at the same time, could just get really loud, and then the video quality we'd start buffering and all sorts of stuff. But again, at the time I wasn't running internet speed tests and just to see if that was what was going on, or it could be the server, or it could be the energy. That is possible. So there are many possibles. I don't know the answer to that, but it is possible for that to happen. I have a teacher who is very hard on electronics. She's got phenomenal healing energy and ability, and is very strong, very powerful, but she has all sorts of email issues, computer issues all the time with that, and I'm like, there's got to be a way to harmonize that. So I think we lost our bulk of our audience. I really feel bad about that. But again, that's, technology, right? And, we're fortunate that we even have this way of interacting, and particularly at this time. I don't go out right now. except to walk the dog and, although I'll be going to my office tomorrow because I have a session. But it's like I've got my own little office, so there's nobody there but me in my little office. But I do curbside pickup for groceries, and I'm working from home basically for the most part. Teaching, streaming a class a week, and then doing my artwork, and I've got a studio in the basement, and like I said, just taking care of the dog and practicing outside right now, doing my Tai Chi and Qigong routine there. But I don't really get out. So all my interaction is pretty much via technology these days. So it's when it works, it's great. Well, I mean, it's still not the same. But I'm grateful that I have at least that, even though I have been denying myself that because I've been on a social media break this week. So, it's been, a long couple months for a lot of us. Oh my gosh, you stayed up and you're on the call and it's 3:40 a.m. where you are? Get some sleep. Go back and watch the recording when it's a reasonable hour for you. Thanks for joining me, though, Lilac Princess. Yeah. Sweet dreams. It's been, a weird couple of months. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of things I'm looking at differently. I'm re-examining the past. I am, looking back at relationships. I'm looking back at how I spend my time, what habits, I have. Thank you for joining me. And, we'll do this again next month, hopefully with a little bit better results. I'm trying to talk a friend of mine into joining me as a guest star. So you can see just not me, but us going back and forth. And who knows what we'll do and what we'll talk about. And, I'll keep my eye on the chat so everyone can, chime in. But yeah, this is, my chance to reach out. And since the pandemic has hit, I've really refocused because I was not putting as much energy into growing what I do as a practice. I was doing it, but I wasn't putting my energy. I was putting that into more of my teaching. And I wasn't putting any energy into my creative work, my artwork, or, fiction or writing. And I've really, pulled in and, I'm finding, what is value to me. Because really what I'm missing right now is, being with people. Not all people, because some people I don't like. But, not being able to be with, the people that I care about, the people I've made connections with. And just seeing, how much, and I'm one of the people that'll tell my friends that I love them because I'm trying to normalize that, because this idea that you only say I love you to someone that you're romantically involved with, or your children or your parents or something like that, I don't like that, because I feel very deeply for my friends and I miss them a lot. But, I'm looking back and seeing just how much did we take for granted. The idea that we can just go into a store even without thinking, without lots of preparation, to make sure it's safe. And, just to walk in, to shake somebody's hand, to give them a hug. And, at the same time, on a personal level, I've been using this time to really develop. I never would have thought of live streaming what we just did prior to all of this. I had to learn the live streaming software for one, but I had time to do it now. And I've really revamped. I've been playing around. If you notice, like, the little thumbnails for all these different live chats and videos lately, they're all nicely done, and I've been using graphic design software to set those up. Never would have thought of doing that. It's just too much, right? Just let YouTube choose a random snapshot from the video. But now I'm actually putting the effort in there, and I'm putting effort into my artwork, and I'm putting effort into growing my Patreon support, because I'm like, that's really, I feel like that's the way forward for me, is like to build community. And that's worked. I mean, I've been amazed, of the people that have shown up to support. And, it really means a lot to me. Because a lot of times, a lot of the work that I do, like the ceremony, the prayers, everything that I do and I send out, it goes all over the world. It goes to 5 different continents. But a lot of times it can just feel like a drop in the bucket, or like putting a little message in a bottle and sending it out into the ocean. And a lot of times YouTube, for at least the first many years, felt like that. Like, I'd record a video and get like 10 views. All people I knew. And, off it went. And now, like 11 years later, it's not a huge channel. My channel is not a huge channel. It's very niche. But to have like the feedback and have to keep on top of the feedback is like, and sometimes it's fallen through the cracks. I answered a comment last month or so, and the person was a little snarky with me because it was like a year past when they actually posted it, but I totally didn't see it. And it turns out that they had posted it like during a period of time in my life where I was grieving. I lost a family member at the end of 2018, and so the first 6 months of 2019, I was like checked out. So I was like, yeah, sometimes that does happen, people. So if I don't always answer you right away, sometimes it's because I don't see it. Like, the filter on YouTube does not always catch things, or it marks as spam for some reason. I don't know why. Or I don't know how to answer it for a while. But yeah, it's been quite an eventful. It's been quite eventful couple of months without any actual events. So it's been mostly internal. And I think a lot of us are having that go on. And I'm having, deep work going on. For those of you that don't know, I wrote a book. You might probably know that because I talk about it all the time, because I wrote a book, right? It's like, whenever I have a really bad day, I remind myself, oh yeah, I actually, I think I've never accomplished anything, because we all have those days where we just feel like we suck. And it doesn't matter what we do, because we're never going to do anything of significance. Then I remind myself, well, I did write and publish a book. And, sometimes that helps, just saying, well, at least I did that. And, now I've got a meditation album out. I did that last summer. And the funny thing about that is, today, I had a royalty check in the mail for that. I totally forgot. Because, I got one, my first one came out, because they do them at 6 months intervals. So the first one I got, which was for all of last year, because I didn't get May, didn't come out until August. And then, or it might have even released in September, I can't remember. But, the first payday was in January. And then 6 months later, which was today, was when I got the next 6 months royalties. And it wasn't a lot, but I got a check today that I totally spaced on. Didn't even think about it. It came out of the blue. And it's like anytime you get a check that you weren't expecting, no matter how large or small it is, it feels good. So, you know, I'm having to re-examine a lot of what I thought I was going to be doing, a lot of what I thought was important, and really coming back to some old dreams that I think really do matter. And I hope that a lot of you are doing the same thing. I mean, I know people are in different stages in their lives. They're in different, positions depending on, what their finances, how much support they have. And, um, that adds other levels that they have to consider. But I really hope that this great, event, and I don't mean great as in, oh, this is so great. I mean like great as in huge. This momentous historical event is really not lost on you. And that you're not just lost in it, and that you have, it's a terrible thing. It really is. It's a terrible, terrible thing. But I hope that, what you bring out of it, I want all of you to come out of this better than what you went in with. That if I could have one single prayer that would go out to everybody, it is that you and your loved ones come out of this time in a better position, in a better place, both within yourself, within your community, within your, situation, and in your emotional lives than when you went in, so that, you grow from this and you're stronger overall, and that you can find more joy in your life. One of my, I don't know where this quote came from, but I have latched onto it because I love the idea of it. And it was, the more deeply we are cut by sorrow, the greater our capacity for joy. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I really, really want it to be. And I want that to be true for you as well. That no matter what happens, and what we go through, and what kind of suffering happens to us, that it only deepens our capacity to appreciate the good things. Not that we should ignore the bad. I'm not saying that at all, but that we deepen our appreciation for what's right and what's important, which is each other. It is our connections that hold us in the world. And I don't know why I went to this sort of very tender place right now, because it feels that way. It got quiet. I think the first part of this stream, before we had the big, shutdown of it, was so frenetic with the pace. I'm trying to okay, pick a number. Okay, it's going to be you. Okay, now we got to go to this, And there's places for that kind of frenetic energy too. But I also appreciate, the time to, really go deep. And these are things I feel in my heart, that it's really important that we acknowledge what we value and whom we value, as long as we can while we're on this earth. So I just lost some viewers when I said that. It's weird when you have the number count right in there is what did I say? When all of a sudden the numbers drop. So if you have anything else you'd like to add, leave it in the comment section. Otherwise, I'll start wrapping this up in the next 4 or 5 minutes. But let me know, just where you are. And I don't mean give me your address. I mean where you are in your process. So, a lot of the things that I do, or sometimes they used to where I learned a lot of this stuff. They called it, you want to play in the energy, and sometimes it is like play, and then sometimes it goes a little bit deeper and it becomes, we're coming into very vulnerable areas in ourselves and our emotions and our lives, where our wounds and our trauma live, and it can be hard to keep that sort of playfulness. And so, you want to switch between play and reverence is kind of where I go. I love the opportunity to just, play magic, right? But I also really like those sessions where it comes in and it's really, I'm feeling it in the heart, and I'm just left in awe of the sacredness of it. And those are usually the sessions where I have the least bit of input. It's more like I'm just there following what I'm told. So. You're okay. So we've got Violet. You love to, Tom. Thank you. You're letting go of old hurts and embracing the present. That's good. Still have not learned how to pronounce that name, Robin. Next time we're on a call with me, you can instruct me. I love it though. I'm not going to attempt it right now. I didn't skip out. She says, because you skipped out, not because the haters, why the views dropped. I didn't skip out. The whole software quit. I had to restart the computer to get it to work. So I was frantically trying to get back on. And I felt like it was really important to not just end the stream in the middle of that, because there needed to be some sort of container and closure on the energy. So I hope Scary Harpy, who was our last participant for the mini sessions, I hope they go back and watch the rest of that, the wrap up, and maybe even leave a comment after this recording goes out once it's processed. Usually takes a few hours for YouTube to process it, and for it to go out. But I think it's really important, right now it's like we gotta, what is valuable, and then even after this is over, this period of time is over, we need to continue to move toward what we value. The world will try, or I would say the systems of the world will try to make us forget and try to make us to go back to sleep and be distracted. And, they may be more or less successful, depending on how well we hold our grief and, how we process our emotions. Because it's a lot easier to just let go into distraction if you're in pain. And a lot of us are suffering, or are in pain, or troubled, or disheartened right now. And it's really important that we acknowledge that. And it's really important that we hold that. As sacred as we hold our love for others, as sacred as we hold our joy and laughter, we need to, be present for tears and grieving and, bittersweet. There's a lot of bittersweet. July for me, or mid to late summer, is the season of nostalgia. It's where I often will look back and think of years past or summers past, and people who I had strong attachments with, which I don't anymore, for good reasons. But I can still miss them, or miss the time. And I think a lot of us, in this time or space, particularly if we grew up here in the United States, we may have fond memories of summer. It might be when we got to visit, relatives like grandparents, or stay with them, or when we went on trips as a family and got to see things that, opened us up and For me, my family, I had a parent that worked for an airline for, half my childhood. So, but by the time I was 9 or 10, I got to see more of this country than most people see in their whole life. Um, and that was a gift. I got to see the Grand Canyon, Sedona, the Tetons, the Rocky Mountains, Yellowstone, and the redwood forest on the west coast, Yosemite, just to name a few places. Um, and it was amazing. I fell in Oak Creek near Sedona, and I really feel like the water there changed me. As I look back, it was kind of like a little baptism. And so, I got to see a lot of sacred sites before I was ever even, hitting adolescence. I really feel like that had a huge energetic impact on me. Um, and, that's a gift. And, when I was growing up, and I don't know why I'm sharing this right now, we did not have a lot of things. I grew up in Florida, in South Florida, for the first part of my childhood. We had a pool, and we had swings outside, and we had lots of trees to climb in. But I did not have many toys. In fact, I had hand-me-down toys. I had hand-me-down blocks and hand-me-down Legos and a hand-me-down chalkboard. But those were my favorite things, were Legos, blocks, and colored chalk. When I was playing inside. There's a theme there, building, creating, all that sort of stuff. But, when I went to school, all these kids had all the toys, all the games. Stream is back on. I think YouTube's trying to send me a message to get off. Yeah, there's a lot of buffering. So I tell you what, guys, I would love to sit here and chat with you. But it seems like we're going to keep running into stream health, and I really don't want to end the stream with, just cutting off in the middle of something. So I'm going to call it. We're going to, pick this up again next month. If you know of something that you really want me to cover or talk about or explain or explore in the chat, let me know. Send me a message, and I'll think about that, and I'll do my best. So thank you so much for joining me. It really means a lot that you have taken the time to interact with me. Right now, time is what we have, and the fact that you took time out of your day or your evening to spend it with me makes me feel really, really valued and appreciated. So thank you. And until next time, peace and blessings.